was having. I just made this little thing right here. It's not necessarily all in order. I'm just gonna kind of freestyle it. But what I find funny, right? The T, the cross is right at the end, but the word righteous, it's right in the middle. There's 4 on each side, right? And look, even this diagram's got it in there, right? Anyway, this is about being right or being righteous, all right? They both sound the same, but it's not the same, man. You can be right and still be wrong, right? You can appear to be right. You can also appear to be righteous, right? And that's what this is about. That's what the verse is, right and righteous. If you appear to be righteous, but you're not, you just seem right. This is the same thing the Pharisees and Sadducees, they had all the books. They had all the ceremony and theater. They had political theater of being righteous, but it was actually just right. Anyway, when you're right, let's say in an argument, right? It's like you're right, but that doesn't make you righteous, because if you're just accusing somebody of the same thing you do, that's just being a hypocrite, right? Anyway, these are not in order, so it's like they're not necessarily right across from each other. So I'm gonna kind of go, like, draw lines in between like this. Anyway, when you're right, it's like people get an ego boost off being right, like an argument, right? Like, hey man, I know it was in that drawer. No, it's in this drawer, right? And then you have come to find out they were right. It was in that drawer, but they didn't tell you that they moved it, like, because they're kind of like they're control freaks, and they like to like go behind you and sweep up your footprints and put everything else in a different spot, so you appear to be off kilter, right? And they're ahead of you, all right? And that's also appearances, right? See, when you're righteous, you don't care how you appear, even if people like Jesus appeared to be a rabble rouser and a heretic, but he was actually the fucking Messiah. Same thing with the prophets. The prophets didn't say what was popular. Like, everybody said, no, you ain't right, but they were being righteous to God, right? They're doing God's will, right? Like, look, being right. And here, let me say, look, down here, look. Using others as punishment, leading others astray, bringing others into your battle. They like to have an audience, right? Look, use it only a front, using the audience. This is something that gang stalkers like to do. It's a form of, like my grandma used to tell me, hey, when you scold somebody or tell them that they're doing something wrong, you do not do it in front of an audience, because that's humiliating, that's embarrassing, right? And they try to do this to Jesus and the disciples and prophets and other people that were part of God's plan, right? Freaking many times. There's so many examples. I'm not going to get into that right at the moment. Maybe I'll expound later. But anyway, it's been a long time since I did this sort of video. I'm out of practice, so I got me a new notepad, and I'm going to start going to town, dude. Look, when you're just worried about being right and see, that's the other thing. Some people feel as if somebody ain't going down, they feel like if they get somebody else down, they go up somehow. But no, in all actuality, you stay at that same level. You just push another down or make them look bad. Or here's the other way. Like, listen, if you're above somebody and you're standing on righteousness, but then they get you to fight at their level, you actually go down notches, right? And the fool actually stays where he's at. So it's like the righteous man who makes a fool of himself by arguing with the wrong nigga, right? At the wrong time about the wrong, like, pick and choose your battles. Don't just go after everything they give you, because some of these things are just baits. They're baits to get you into a meaningless fucking argument. Like kind of as Paul in the Bible says, avoid, or like, look, don't, these so-called sciences, right? Like the scientists and people in academia, everything should be simplified. They make all these words to make it more difficult to understand simple things. It's not like we need all these words to explain complex things. No, what you do, you obscure the truth through legalese by making the English language is a spell language. I'd say it's the devil's language, because as tricky as it is. Anyway, let me get back to the diagram. All right, righteousness is doing the right thing. And appearances do not matter. Who cares who's watching? Look, if you're righteous, man, God sees it, man, right? And look, here's the difference, man. Clear conscience, man. Having a clear conscience. Which if you are like not, you're just operating and being right. Look, your consciousness may be seared with a hot iron if you don't have this understanding of being right or righteous, right? Being right always isn't like sometimes there ain't no right or wrong. Maybe you're both wrong or you're both right, right? And a righteous person will see that and he'll be a peacemaker. But a person who just wants to appear to be right, that's like in the book of Kings where the two women are arguing over the baby. Whose baby? Oh, I'll cut it in half, just like this. I'll give it to you both. One of them said, well, I'll cut it in half, right? Look. Anyway, let me keep trying to look. See, and being right, yourself is God. Your flesh, your mind, your heart, your will, your mind, and emotions is ultimately the who decides what's right. When you're going after righteousness, you're going after like God is your freaking is your compass. Anyway, I'm gonna have to pick back up where I left off. Hopefully I can catch the moving train. And this is a good example and diagram to show people how to kind of like show, look, this is comparing apples to oranges. This isn't oranges to oranges or apples to apples. You know what I'm saying? And it's a good way to stick to the price of tea in China.